Will an audience with Mother Earth herself prove enough to help King Thor turn back the tide of the Utgardian gods, or is the truth of what's actually going on more horrifying than the God of Thunder could ever imagine? Well, let's hop into the pages of Immortal Thor issue number 8 and number 9 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, we see Thor has come to a sacred site, an ancient cave where mankind first huddled around, burnt their fires, and told their first stories. Weaved in with these stories is actual real history that Thor can witness by looking at the paintings on the wall. These stories have a similar theme too, about man's connection to the earth itself. The bounties they would be given when times were good, but also just how quickly nature can betray man and vice versa during the not so good times. It's here that King Thor has come to try and seek an audience with Gaia, his biological mother, and the ancient spirit of the earth itself. His questions are pretty simple, mainly, hey mom, what the hell are you doing working with the ancient Utgardians to try and destroy everyone on Earth, and what's about this turning wheel I keep hearing? Gaia is none too happy to be disturbed, and she is especially not so happy to hear her own child speak to her in this tone. In fact, as Gaia says, she has birthed many a god in her long life, and that Thor is actually the weakest of all of them. So basically, where do you get off talking to your mother like that, young man? You never call, you never visit, except for when you want something, and you know what? If you do want to know the truth, then sit down, because I'm going to tell you a long family story. Now, as we already knew from an earlier flashback, Gaia was there at the beginning of all things, when the great demiurge breathed life into the first of the gods. All with names you may know, who just so happen to also be pre-existing Marvel characters, names like Set, Chthon, and Ashtur. As you'll remember, these beings weren't in existence for more than a couple minutes before they eventually all started warring with each other for control of all existence. This would be known as the God War, one word. Now, all of this death and destruction amongst her siblings never exactly set well with Gaia. After all, she is a goddess of life and birth. And as such, she decided to plead her case to the demiurge itself, saying that if she was imbued with the power to create life, that she would be able to put an end to this war once and for all. The demiurge would honor her request, and before you knew it, Gaia was pregnant with her very first son, Atum, also known as Atem, also known as Amun-Ra, one of the first and most powerful of the Egyptian pantheon. Atum was amazing from birth and used his incredible power to end the God War. Not only was he able to destroy most of these ancient gods, but he was also able to steal away their power and aspects, in doing so creating a whole other form. The night to his day, the dark side to his light, a horrifying many-mouthed creature known as the Demigorge, or the God Eater. As King Thor is quick to say, yeah, I know this story, I fought the Demigorge before, I kicked his ass all the way back in '82 in the pages of a Thor annual. Only for Gaia to quickly correct him and say, no, you fought the Demigorge, not Atem at full power, it's different. You might also be wondering, what the hell does this story have to do with the Utgardian gods and why Gaia was willing to turn on all of humanity? Well, as she further goes on to explain, there's basically nothing she wouldn't do to try and safeguard the earth, up to and including offering up her own sons. However, it sometimes doesn't always take a son for Gaia to register her displeasure, like, say, oh, I don't know, the time she wiped out the dinosaurs. Or even the ancient Aesimes, which Mother Gaia is sure to remind Thor was actually all his father Odin's idea. And now it would seem history is repeating itself, and Gaia is fed up with the actions of regular modern-day humans. They take too much from the earth, they give nothing in return, they do not respect the gifts they have been given, and as such, Gaia thinks now might be the time to finally do away with all of them. After all, if humanity continues down the path it is right now, they'll only end up doing more damage to themselves and the earth by extension. Damn, Gaia's really got our number, doesn't she? This is why Gaia, who after the God War was entrusted with a key to the Utgardian realms, or the Outlands in case you're wondering, decided that maybe now would be the perfect time to open the gate and see her brothers return. Now, for what it's worth, Thor instantly calls bullshit on this reasoning, saying that he's heard the whole I gotta kill the world to save the world idea a million times over, almost always spouted to him by supervillains, and that he long ago CEO took a sacred oath as superhero, avenger, king, and god to defend Midgard against all threats, even including his own biological mother. Thor unleashes a massive thunder blast against his mother, something that probably would have been able to kill any lesser being, but not Mother Earth itself. Gaia does, however, give her son a little bit of positive reinforcement. She says that while King Thor may not be the mightiest of her children, he is something else. He's something special. He is hope, a gift that she gave mankind, in hopes that they could one day change their fate. And well, that's exactly what Thor is going to do now. He's going to try and turn back the destructive effects that are currently being felt on Earth, even if that means having to march right up to the headquarters of Roxxon Oil, one of the planet's biggest polluters that also just so happens to be run by an evil minotaur named Dario Agger. Thor doesn't have an appointment, not that he lets that stop him. When you have Mjolnir and can summon up massive thunderstorms, well, you could basically just go wherever the hell you want, whenever you want. Now, as issue number 33 begins, Thor manages to successfully force his way into the office of Dario Agger, who is none too happy to see him. After all, that door had gold and diamond inlays, and his desk was made of rich Brazilian mahogany. King Thor demands that Dario Agger stop poisoning the planet so that hopefully Gaia will give humanity a second chance at survival. Of course, asking an evil CEO to stop being an evil CEO is kind of like asking a fish not to swim. It's just not in their nature. But because Thor did barge into his office and came all this way, Dario decides now is the perfect opportunity to show Thor everything he has planned for the future of Earth. A feat which he manages to accomplish thanks to super high-tech holographic imagery. As the Minotaur explains, once he has successfully downsized the human race as to usher in the next evolution of super capitalism, he'll be sure to sell off the last livable piece of Earth inside the Roxxon dome to the billionaire 1%, a place where all of their needs will be met thanks to cutting-edge technology, and where a few regular people will be enslaved to do all the manual labor, because I mean, after all, someone's always gotta cut the grass and clean the toilets even in paradise. Dario, of course, plans to be long gone by this point. After all, the Marvel Universe is vast and filled with planets and alien species. Surely he can just go and ply his trade elsewhere. Thor is horrified, and just can't possibly believe that someone would be so transparently evil, and for what, money? The Minotaur admits that on paper it might sound a little cliche, but at the end of the day, it really isn't about the money as far as he's concerned. It's about winning. When he sees the numbers go up, that means he's won. It means he's better than even the gods themselves like Thor. Of course, Dario Agger isn't working alone anymore, as the God of Thunder ends up getting jumped by Scourge the Executioner. In a very fun bit of artistry, Scourge punches Thor so hard he ends up flying off the comic page. Keep this in mind because it'll actually be important later. Furthermore, Thor admits that ever since he's come to Roxxon, he's felt a lot weaker, a lot more sluggish. He's having problems summoning his magical weapons, while the Executioner seems more powerful than he's ever been. But why is that, you might be wondering? Well, it's because of the interference of the Enchantress. Yeah, it turns out that hologram city that Thor was running around in a minute ago wasn't actually a hologram at all. It was a magical illusion. You see, the Enchantress's powers have only gotten stronger over the last little bit thanks to a brand new magic multiplier that she's managed to capture, the Secret Fire, aka the fire of storytelling and creativity that we've seen time and time again mentioned in this series. It's through these powers she's actually able to let the Executioner wield Thor's amazing axe, something he didn't think possible before, but it only starts there. Again, if you've been paying attention, the whole meta backbone of this arc of Thor has been about storytelling, oral traditions, and how it connects to how people perceive the gods themselves. How stories change over time and how that can even affect people like Thor. Well, here's the thing, as the Minotaur explains, Thor is more than just an ancient Norse god. He's also a character in an ongoing periodical, a comic book. Yes, that's right, Marvel Comics do exist within the world of Marvel Comics. This has been pre-established, it's just something writers don't go back to all the time. Roxxon had acquired Marvel Comics in a hostile takeover, and because of that, they now actually have the power to influence Thor's story as it's being told. If they want to make him weaker and his enemies stronger, they absolutely can, and it all comes from the power of belief, from people reading the comic book, whether if they bought it legitimately, pirated it online, or had some chubby Canadian schmuck recap it to them with his own commentary and jokes. Just sharing in that story is a truly powerful thing, and as the comic comes to a close, Roxxon wants to give Thor a sneak peek about everything they have planned for him coming coming soon. A complete Square One relaunch that sees Thor become the ultimate corporate hero, right down to having Roxxon branding on his hammer, and you can read all about it next time. And so that was Immortal Thor issue number 8 and number 9, everybody, and man am I glad I got a chance to finally catch up on this, because man, when Al Ewing is cooking, he is absolutely cooking. Up until now, this series has been a slow burn and has taken some time getting to where it wants to go, but now I think it's finally here and I'm really happy about it. Really love the use of Gaia as this complicated antagonist in Thor's life. She has every right to want to try and protect herself from the folly of man, and the fact that she gave birth to Thor to kind of be the counterbalance to that I think is a really cool idea. Also, in the Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing had gotten kind of meta and kind of critical about the comic book industry and content creation and everything, and in this book he seems to be turning that idea all the way up to 11. I can't tell if it's a more Morrison-esque idea or a more Gaiman-esque idea, but I think it's absolutely perfect for Thor, a character who has existed longer than comic books themselves. And I personally can't wait to see what Ewing's take is on a corrupted Thor written by Roxxon. Taken together, I'd give these two issues a well-deserved 9 out of 10. This is great stuff, and I am super excited to see where it's going to go from here.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.